Hello everyone. So ituloy po natin yung part 2 ng ating uh, lecture on risk and return. For this video lecture, we will be talking about the portfolio return and risk, no? The portfolio risk, correlation and diversification, and capital asset pricing model, yung tinatawag natin na CAPM. So this will be shorter as compared to the first video lecture na halos umabot ng 1 oras, no? Ang premise po natin kanina is iisa lang, limbawa, in the computation of your expected value, hindi po wala po tayong series of assets. Or what I mean is that hindi siya portfolio, assuming na single asset po yun. But what if there is a portfolio, no? And syempre, in practice naman kasi, if you are a portfolio manager or you are handling you are managing the investments of your client, okay? E portfolio po yung pinag-uusapan natin. So how do we manage the risk of a portfolio? Okay. Sa ating computation ng expected return, sinasabi po natin, di ba, that we have to consider yung movement sa market price ng iyong stocks, no? And also considering yung yung cash flow, no? For a portfolio, ginagamit po natin yung weighted average, okay? Of the returns on the individual assets na component ng portfolio na yan. As you will see here in the solution or in the formula, where RP dito is the return on the portfolio. So, ano yung proportion, okay, nung isang component ng portfolio na yon, kung anumang asset na yon, halimbawa asset 1, yung proportion nun and the expected return plus yung proportion ng asset 2 multiplied by its expected return hanggang sa ma-identify natin lahat ng mga assets na bumubuo dun sa portfolio na yon. Or simply, this is your formula. Although I don't want you to rely on this formula which may be confusing. So, mas maganda na naiintindihan mo po bakit natin ginagawa ito. Okay? By what you can do when you are presented with this information and you just have your paper and pen and a basic calculator. Okay, so let us assume in this illustration that we have shares of stocks, no? Meron kang binili na shares ni Jollibee at the price of 60 peso per share. And you also bought 120 shares of McDonald's for a price of 50 peso per share. Pag kinuha natin yung total value niyan, it's 100 times 60, that is 6,000. Okay? For McDonald's naman, 120 times 50, that is also 6,000. So ang total value ng investment mo when you acquired it is 12,000. Pag kinuha natin yung proportion, no, ano yung weighted niyan? Ano yung weight ni Jollibee over your total portfolio? Ano yung weight ni McDo over your total portfolio? Since 6,000 ito parehas, no? Just to simplify the illustration, edi 50-50 yan. 50% ng portfolio mo ay binubuo ng stocks ni Jollibee and 50% ng portfolio mo ay binubuo ng stocks ni McDo. Kahit na magkakaiba yung number of shares na in-acquire mo doon. But we are talking about the total value here. Okay, now, you were provided with a summary of the expected portfolio return for the past 5 years from 2019, 20, 21, 22, and 23. If these are your forecasted returns, no, for Jollibee and McDonald's, you will see that for Jollibee, increasing siya, no, expected return, So, every year, pataas ng pataas. Samantalang, it's the other way around, no? 16, 14, pababa ng pababa. Although class, this is just an illustration, and this does not reflect what is the current, expected return in this companies. So we are just making an estimate no, for classroom purposes. Now, eto naman ang portfolio return calculations mo for Jollibee and for McDo and their expected return. Paano yan? Now, applying this formula here. Ito, no? Paano to? 8% times 50%. So that is 4%. No? Kalahati ng 8%. At kalahati din ng 16% is 8%. Therefore, 4 plus 8 equals 16. Pwede mo bang sabihin na 8 plus 16 divided by 2? Yes, kasi equally weighted yan. Pero if you are talking about series no of uneven proportion sa mga stocks na yan, hindi mo pwedeng pag-average ito kasi they have different weights. Dito lang sa ating example, magkaparehas lang sila. Okay? So, yung expected value mo, expected return mo ay 12%. You also do it doon sa mga iba, no? Okay? And then, getting the weighted average, your expected return ay 12% kada taon. So, yung average rate of return mo for 5 years ay 12%. Tama ba? Now, tignan mo ito. Kung 12% ang expected return mo, no, taon-taon, and then your average return ay 12%, pag kinuha mo yung standard deviation mo, wala kang makukuha, makukompute. Kasi 12 minus 12, 0. Squared mo, 0. 12 minus 12. Eh, lahat yan 12 minus 12. So, 0 ka dito. Di ba? Eh, kahit na wala kang probabilities dito at in-apply mo yung n minus 1, eh yung numerator mo 0. Therefore, your standard deviation is 0. And that is understandable in our illustration since your expected returns are the same throughout the 5-year period, which is also your average return. O kaya, 0 ang iyong standard deviation. Pero anong gusto nating i-emphasize dito? When you have a portfolio of investment, you need to weigh out no yung proportion ng yung investments over the total. Siyempre, peso or kung ano man yung currency value niyan, ano, we need to get that total value nun. Kung nasa Pilipinas tayo, peso value. Okay? So, yan ano class, that is your portfolio return and standard deviation. Actually, you are just using the same formula, except that for the expected return, for the computation of your return, ina-average po natin kasi hindi lang naman isang asset. Okay? Now, if you take a look on our reference book, which is the book of Gitman, no, yung Principles of Managerial Finance, merong siyang example doon na hindi ano no when he discussed the portfolio return. Actually, may illustration doon na hindi siya equally 50%. Nagkataon lang na yung sumunod na example, sinimplify niya na 50%. But try to do the original illustration na 68.75% and 31.25%. Tingnan natin ano kung magkano yung makukompute mo. Okay? So that's for portfolio, ano, portfolio risk and return. Now, the correlation and diversification has something to do with a portfolio of investment. Kasi, sige, ganito. Explain natin yung correlation. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng correlation? Pag sinabi natin correlation, no, just like your standard deviation, it is a statistical measure. Okay? Now, for correlation, that statistical measure is for the relationship, now identifying the relationship between any two series of numbers. Of course, from our point of view, we are talking about investments, numbers no, related to investments. Now, in correlation, we have the concept of correlation coefficient. At itong correlation coefficient na ito is a measure of the degree of correlation between two series na nagre-range sa +1 at saka -1. So this is just a ano no, yung correlation of coefficient ay nagre-range lang from +1 to -1. +1 means that there is a perfectly positive correlation at yung -1 is a perfectly negative correlation. as you will see in this illustration here. Kung ito yung time, tapos ito yung return ng dalawang investment, let's say asset N and asset M and asset N, kung parehas na parehas yung galaw ng yan, pwede nating sabihin na that is a perfectly positive correlation. Pag perfectly negative correlation, opposite na opposite. Okay? Kagaya ng makikita ninyo dito. Now, sabi dito, pag positively correlated, two series move in the same direction. Kagaya dito, Pag negatively correlated, they move naman in the opposite direction. Pero what if hindi ganito? O meron tayong tinatawag na uncorrelated. Pag uncorrelated, they lack any interaction. So hindi sila perfectly positive, hindi din sila perfectly negative. So parang wala silang relationship. No, there is no correlation. Okay. Now, how do we apply this correlation coefficient in your investment? In your finance in this topic on financial management for risk and return. Ang gusto po kasi natin, na ito ang guide natin dito is if you are investing or if you are holding a portfolio of investment for your client, mas maganda yung mga investments na yon ay hindi correlated if we want to minimize the risk. Kasi 'di ba, we are managing the risk. Kaya nga meron tayong mga risk assessment. Ano? So, kasi if your investments, yung mga assets within your investment ay positively correlated, kung tumaas ang return ng isang investment mo, okay, within that portfolio, yung isang investment mo pa na correlated doon will also benefit from it. Kaso kung no, matalo ka or mababa masyado yung return doon, yung isang investment mo, ganun din, susunod. Kasi nga, positively correlated sila. So, kumbaga, eto, yung ups and downs mo, if the business is benefiting from it, no, therefore your return is better, di yung isa ganun din. Pero pag down ka din. Okay? So, gusto natin na-minimize natin yung effect ng risk, ng variability of yung uncertainty, di mas maganda if there is less correlation, positive correlation between your investments. Now, dito pumapasok yung concept ng diversification. Kasi yung diversification, parang, di ba, meron tayong term sa investments na do not put all your eggs in one basket. Okay, kasi kung matalo, kung mahulog, manakaw, kung ano man yung mangyari doon sa basket na yon, damay-damay lahat. So, dapat kalat-kalat. Okay. So, para ma-reduce natin yung overall risk, eto it's best to diversify by combining or adding to the portfolio assets that have the lowest possible correlation. So, yung sinasabi ko na, dapat unrelated sila. If you are combining assets that have a low correlation with each other, it will reduce the overall variability of the portfolio's return. Kagaya po ng makikita ninyo dito sa ating illustration, If you have asset F and you have asset G, if the return for asset F looks something like this, whereas for asset G, it looks something like this. Okay, pag kinumbine niyo po yan, ang asset F and G sa isang portfolio, na minimize yung variability. Kasi for asset F, kung tumaas yung returns mo dyan, dito, baba. So, nag-offsetan sila. So, nami-minimize yung variability. So, yun yung tinatawag natin na diversification. Okay? So, if mas maganda, hindi tayo puro investment sa bonds or investment sa stocks, pwedeng combination. If you are investing in cryptocurrency, which is the trend now, you also invest in traditional assets. You can invest in commodities, you can invest in stocks, you can invest in shares, even in indices. foreign currency, no? Yung tinatawag natin diversified. Iba-iba yung laman ng iyong investment. Take a look at this illustration, which I picked up from the book. You have these different assets, X, Y, and Z. For 3 years, no? Medyo mag plus 10 or plus 5 na lang tayo dito sa taon na ito. Pansinin ninyo, si asset X and Y, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Kay Y, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8. Parang yung example natin kanina, no? They are negatively correlated. Pataas ng pataas, parang yung kay Jollibee, kunwari. Pataas ng pataas ito, yung kay McDo, pababa ng pababa. So, masasabi natin that they are perfectly negatively correlated. No, may correlation sa kanila pero negative one. Kasi pataas ng pataas yung isa naman is moving on the opposite direction. Unlike pag kinumpare mo naman si asset X at saka si asset, asset Z, parehas na parehas sila. A, 10, 12, 14, 16, A, 10, 12, 14, 16. We say that that is a perfectly positively correlated. So may perfect positive correlation tayo for asset X and for asset Z. Okay? So, ayan po Although these are presented na in terms of the figures and assessing them. Now, tignan po ninyo ito. No? Kasi, if, natakpan ko kasi dito yung portfolio eh. Pero if you will take a look sa statistics, ang expected value nila pare-parehas eh. Yung standard deviation nila pare-parehas. Okay? Pero for combination of X and Y, mapapansin niyo dito, yung standard deviation ay 0. Kasi nga, di ba? Pare-parehas lang sila. Unlike dito, yung pag perfectly negatively correlated, may value ang standard deviation. Okay. Now, consider this, I don't know, asset, low and high. Ang expected return ni asset low ay 6%, kay asset high, 8%. Ang risk as measured by the standard deviation, okay? Ito po yung natin, symbol ng standard deviation sa mga libro. Yung parang O na may parang pagganon. Okay? 3%, 8%. And that is understandable. Kasi di ba nga, anong sabi natin? The standard deviation measures the degree of, the degree of variability. Tama ba? Yung gaano ba ah, kalapad. Ano ang term natin dito? Nakalimutan ko bigla agad. Dito Ayan. Ayun, yung dispersion. Kasi ang naisip ko na term na ngayon yung diversification eh. So the degree of the degree of dispersion. Now, understandable for high na 8 yung kanyang standard deviation samantalang yung low ay 3%. Kasi nga, 'di ba? The higher the risk, the higher the return. So, yung range niya dito ay mas malapad, mas malaki. Okay. So, if we are to relate this to this topic on correlation, correlation coefficient. Meron tayong term na coefficient of variation. Ito naman, correlation coefficient. Magkaiba po yan ha. Baka lang minsan na paghahalo-halo yung mga terminologies. You have these ranges of return. Okay? Kung meron kang portfolio ni low at saka ni high, we are saying that your return could be somewhere between 6% and 8%. 6% yung low, 8% yung high. Pero class, ano ba yung relationship niyan sa coefficient correlation or correlation coefficient? Okay? You can see it in the right side, in terms of the range of risk. Kasi di ba, risk and return. Ito yung return, ito yung representation ng risk. Pag perfectly positive, the risk is somewhere between 3 to 8%. Okay? Andito sa range na ito. Pero sinasabi natin, kapag uncorrelated, yung mga assets within that portfolio, nami-minimize natin yung variability. So, pwedeng bumaba pa sa 3% yung risk mo because you diversified, And when you diversified, nababawasan yung positive correlation. So halimbawa, if there is zero correlation, so uncorrelated yung mga assets, pwedeng as low as 2% ang pwedeng maging risk mo. Hindi ka lamang po nalilimit doon sa 3 to 8% as presented here. But if the assets in your investment portfolio are perfectly negatively correlated, it may, ano no, reach to zero. And by zero, no, virtually wala ka ng risk na natitake. Kasi perfectly correlation. Na-offset yung high risk mo with the low risk since they are opposite with each other. Okay? So, ano ibig nito sabihin? As the correlation between low and high becomes weaker, okay? That is, as the correlation coefficient falls from positive 1 pababa ng pababa, investors may find that they can form portfolio of low and high with standard deviations that are even less than 3%. Because the standard deviation is the degree, is a measure of the degree of dispersion. Diba? That is portfolio that are less risky than holding assets by low by itself. Kasi yung low mo, asset low mo ay 3%, no? Pero pag nag-diversify ka, maaring mas mababa pa doon. So, in the special case, when low and high are perfectly negatively correlated, it is possible to diversify away all of the risk and form a portfolio that is risk-free. Okay? O kaya nga, yung mga nasa field of finance na, nasa field ng investment, nasa field ng banking, okay, yun yung mga trabaho nila, ano, uh, they are also checking the stocks, the markets, no, para nada-diversify yung kanilang mga portfolio. Okay, that is an interesting, ano, no, work. Okay, pero that is not for everyone. And as much as accounting is not for everyone, and other type of jobs are not for everyone. No. Now, pag-usapan po natin yung capital asset pricing model. And before we deal with the capital asset pricing model and familiarizing yourselves with the formula, with the equation, please consider that in terms of the risk, no, security risk, yung total security risk, nabubuo yan or hinahati yan into two types of risk. Your non-diversified risk and your or non-diversifiable risk and your diversifiable risk. At makikita nyo po yan dito sa ating graph. Okay, the portfolio risk on the y-axis is represented by your standard deviation. Ito, no? For the portfolio. Okay. So, yung total risk mo nandito. Okay? Meron kang non-diversifiable risk sa baba. Tapos, meron ka ditong diversifiable risk sa taas na meron kang curve, ano no? Hindi siya line, ano no? Hindi siya line. Pa-curve siya, no? Pababa. Okay? So, ano yung diversifiable risk? Ang tawag din natin dyan ay unsystematic risk. So, this is the portion of, palakihin natin, ano? Ayan. So, this is the portion of the assets risk that is associated with random causes na pwede po nating ma-eliminate through diversification. So, if you diversified your portfolio, pwede po nating ma-eliminate itong diversifiable risk. Ano yung mga examples niyan? Strikes, lawsuits, regulatory actions, loss of a key account. Okay? So, pwede yan ma-eliminate, no? When you diversify. Kasi hindi po maapektuhan ng ibang mga stocks, no? Yung ibang mga stocks, kung sakaling a particular stock was affected because of these examples. Samantalang, yung non-diversifiable risk mo or yung tinatawag natin systematic risk ay attributable sa mga market factors, no? That affects all of the firms at hindi po yan ma-eliminate ng diversification. Ito kasi specific to your firm, specific to your investment, no? Ito, di po specific sa iyong investment. This affects all, hindi lamang sa iyo, lahat. Kasi market factors po ito. Halimbawa, nagkaroon ng gera. Hindi ka lang naman yung may stock, no? doon sa particular, halimbawa, kung ano mang company na yon. So marami po ang naapektuhan. Inflation, overall state of the economy, international incidents, political events. So these are examples of systematic risk na hindi mo po ma-eliminate. Now, since eto, kaya nating eliminate etong diversifiable risk, we can eliminate this. Ang relevant dito for our discussion and for risk management is etong non-diversifiable risk. Etong systematic risk, no? Kasi if you can eliminate the risk by diversifying your portfolio, o di wala ka nang poproblemahin doon. Ito na yung poproblemahin mo. So, how do we assess this? Now, we have the capital asset pricing model. Ito yung ano natin theory relating yung mga risks with the return. Si capital asset pricing model or commonly termed as CAPM, no, abbreviated as CAPM. It links the non-diversified risk to its expected returns. And the formula is this: R equals, okay, no? RJ, basta R, this is your required rate on an asset, equals the risk-free rate of return, RF, plus the BJ. Ano yung BJ? That is the beta coefficient for asset J. No? Okay, so this is your beta coefficient. And you have your RM. Your RM is your market rate, the portfolio, no? Minus RF, which is also your risk-free rate of return. Plus, hindi dito kita masyado dahil nilagyan natin ng mga labels. Pero RF plus, meron ka ditong, anong klaseng parenthesis ito? Basta naka-parenthesis inside yung beta times yung difference between the market rate minus risk-free rate. Okay. So, please familiarize yourselves with the formula, with the terms, itong mga variables natin dito. You have your RF, the risk-free rate of return. Ano? This is the required return on a risk-free asset. Risk-free. Pag walang risk, ano yung required return mo doon? Okay? The beta coefficient is a relative measure of the non-diversified risk. This is an index. Okay? That is separate, no? Lagyan ko lang ng okay, semicolon. An index of the degree of movement of an asset's return in response to a change in the market return. Okay? So, yan po yung ating beta coefficient. Although, no, in the book, this was discussed, no, extensively kung paano tayo nag-arrive sa beta coefficient. For now, let us not focus on the specifics of how do we arrive at the beta coefficient because for problem solving purposes, no, kadalasan given po itong beta coefficient, hindi po ito hinahanap sa atin. Kung hinahanap man, masosolve mo yan because the other variables here are available. Okay? So, let's see. Maybe I will, tignan natin kung bigyan ko ng separate na discussion yung beta coefficient. Okay. The market return is understandable. No? This is the return on the market portfolio sa mga traded securities. So, yan, Now, etong CAPM mo, etong capital asset pricing model mo, pwede mo yan ma-divide into two components. Okay? The first one is the risk-free. Siyempre, etong risk-free rate of return, And the second one is the risk premium. Kasi 'di ba, RF plus. Tapos yung naka-parenthesis. Yung within those parentheses, ito yung risk premium. Ito risk-free, ito risk premium. Okay? And within that risk premium, etong market rate minus risk-free rate, no, of return, ang tawag natin dyan is the market risk premium, MRP, market rate premium. Ito RM minus RF, tawag natin dyan market risk premium. Pag minultiply mo yan sa beta coefficient, ang tawag natin dyan ay risk premium. So when you add risk premium doon sa risk-free rate of return, that is your expected rate of return. That is your required return on an asset. Okay? Class, take note. For the market risk premium, it represents the premium the investor must receive for taking the average amount of risk associated with holding the market portfolio of assets. Okay? So, premium. That, kasi meron kang risk-free eh. Oh, Eh yung market rate mo ay syempre may ano doon, hindi yun risk-free. So the difference between those two rates is called your premium, no? Na marireceive ni investor because nag-take siya ng risk associated risk. Okay? So that is your risk premium. So market risk premium. Plus yung risk premium no, when we multiply the MRP sa beta coefficient, uh, generally, actually, historically, mas mataas yung risk premium for stocks than for bonds kasi nga, mas risky yung mga equity securities as compared sa mga debt securities. Okay? So let's take an example on capital asset pricing model, based on the book. So although nilocalize po natin ito, so ABC Company, a growing software developer, wishes to determine the required return on asset X, which has a beta of 1.5. The risk-free return is 7%. Given yung RF, the return on market portfolio, yung RM mo, is 11%. I-compute natin ngayon, okay, yung CAPM, yung required rate of return gamit yung CAPM model. So if the risk-free rate of return is 7%, may beta ka na 1.5 at yung market rate mo ay 11. O ano yung market risk premium? RM minus RF. So 11 minus 7, the market risk premium is 4%. Nakuha? If you multiply the market risk premium with the beta coefficient of 1.5, okay, yung tinatawag po natin na RP or yung risk premium, that is 6%. Beta times market risk premium is the risk premium. That is 6%. O ngayon, idadagdag mo doon sa risk-free na 7 o yung required rate of return mo is 13%. Okay? Excuse me. O, take note ha, mas mataas yung beta, mas mataas yung required rate of return and vice versa. O, kasi nga, yung risk premium mo lalaki because multiplier mo yung beta coefficient. Okay? Meron tayong tinatawag sa libro na SML. Mali na nga ako dito eh. Imbes na SML ang nagawa ko ay SLM. Straight line method yung SLM. SML is security market line. Although the graph is straight line. Pag pag graph mo yan. As you can see here. So the SML or the security market line is the depiction of CAPM as a graph. Wherein you can see here, you have your required return on the y-axis, and then you have your beta on the right, your non-diversifiable risk. You will observe that when the beta increases, the required return will also increase. Kasi nga, multiplier mo yan. So, limbawa, at 1.5, the required rate of return is at 13%. Okay? Because your market risk premium of 4% here times your beta of 1.5, naging 6% yung risk premium mo. Diba? Eh, nandirito ka nag-umpisa sa base na risk-free na 7%. So, pag rinaf mo yan, pag nag-assume ka na kunwari yung beta mo ay 2, 2.5, pataas yan ng pataas. Straight line po yan. Okay? And that's how you, compute the return using the capital asset pricing model. So, sa mga susunod siguro ng mga discussions natin for my actual students, no, and maybe I will be posting it in here in YouTube if I have the time. No? I will give more examples on CAPM. Okay, but for now, this will be the end of my discussion on the risk and return. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.